I chose the story The Allotment by Charlie Hill. The setting of this story takes place on a local farm where a couple has recently bought a share of the land. This begins in autumn and takes you through all 4 seasons and then ends again with the autumn season. Characterization. The story revolves around a couple who is very static. They do not change their actions throughout the story. They begin by being very dedicated and researching before they buy the allotment, and they end the story by being very dedicated and getting an early start to crop season and making sure that they are doing the best that they can. There's another character in this story called the Old Man. He is a very round character. He begins the story by not talking to anyone, being very cold-hearted and secretive. As the couple comes onto the allotment, he starts to slowly talk to them, and he opens up to them. Near the end of the story, he will actually start breaking down crying in front of the couple because he now trusts them, and he is now going to die. That makes him a very round character. Plot and point of view. This story is written in third person. It begins with a couple whose son has recently left them, deciding to buy a piece of land on the allotment to bring down their house mortgage by growing vegetables and fruits. This couple then gets initiated onto the allotment by the friendly neighbors giving them fruits and vegetables of their own. They then meet a very cranky old neighbor who doesn't seem to talk to anyone. The couple then becomes very good at farming, and near the end of the story, the cranky old neighbor starts to trust them. Soon, the cranky old neighbor stops showing up at the allotment as much, and no one really notices what's wrong. By the end of the story, there is a new place on the allotment for someone, so they assume someone had just moved out. It was a long time until everyone noticed that the old man had died. This made the couple extremely sad, and they realized they felt bad for not talking and noticing the old man as much. Conflict. There are many different conflicts throughout this story. One type of conflict was man versus nature. Throughout the entire story, everyone on the allotment had to deal with the changes in weather. Throughout the harsh winters, they had to plant different crops or would have to plant no crops because the weather was too extreme. Many times, because extreme weathers would come in, their plants would die. Another conflict was man versus man. The old man disliked his neighbors, and his neighbors disliked him because he was very secretive and wanted to keep to himself. Also, the couple fell under peer pressure, and they started to dislike the man along with their neighbors. Another conflict is man versus self. When the old man finally died, the couple beat themselves up about it because they felt bad that they had never acknowledged him and realized that he was only cranky because he was going through illness. Which leads to the last conflict, which was man versus disease. The entire time, the old man had some sort of disease that ended up killing him in the end. And he had to harvest through it, and he still did, without stopping. Themes. One of the major themes in this story was everything in life comes full circle. In the beginning of the story, the couple was receiving gifts because they were the new people. But by the end of the story, they were the ones that were giving gifts. Also, the couple was the ones that were finally accepting the old man because they felt their neighbors were being harsh. But by the end of the story, they followed in their neighbors' footprints, and they also disliked the man. Another theme was dedication. Throughout the story, the couple was very dedicated to all the work they put in. They would always get up early to harvest crops, and when a new person came into the allotment, they wanted to be the ones who had the best crops that year so they could give them the gifts. Also, for dedication, the old man, he fought through illness and continued to harvest his crops, and plant his roses. Atmosphere, mood, tone. The atmosphere of the story was shown to be happiness and fear. It was happiness because the couple was excited when they would plant their crops and they would grow beautifully, or they were excited when they saw the old man's roses had been beautiful. It was fear because the old man was fearing death, and that is why he started to break down and cry. The mood of this story was fairly dark. You started off by thinking it was going to be a happy story because the couple has just started something new and they were enjoying it. But by the end of the story, the old man was dead and the couple was very, very upset. The tone of the story was extremely descriptive. Everything they wrote was not just plain and simple. They added more to it to get the feeling that you could actually see what was happening in front of you. Literary devices. The literary device I found in this story were many similes. Throughout the entire story, they referenced the couple to be like different things. They said, one, that they were like shriveling peas once their son left them because they didn't have anything to do and they were just wasting away. Another one was they were shriveling at the edges like a leaf, which again shows that they are wasting away. These were very effective in the story because you know what those things, the shriveling pea and the leaf, would look like. So you're able to imagine what the old couple would look like as well. Layers of meaning. One of the deeper meanings of the story was regret. The old man regretted how he had not talked to anyone throughout his life, and once it was finally his time to go, he had no one. He felt he was too strong throughout his entire life, and he was too closed off from reality, and so he regretted the fact that he had no one with him when he was going through illness and he was dying. The couple then regretted not talking to the old man because they felt bad that he was just going through a hard time and they were not there to help them. Another deeper meaning was purpose. The old man felt as soon as those roses bloomed that his purpose in life was no longer there. He had no one to care for, or nothing to care for, and finally he knew it was his time to go because there's no purpose for him being on the earth, and that is what scared him.